What's going on YouTube? It is Texans Takeover back in another video. In today's video, I have my divisional round predictions. But to look at my divisional round predictions, we have to look at what I predicted in the wild card. You look at the AFC, I was perfect in the AFC, so pretty happy with that because at the end of the day, that is my conference. That's where my Texans reside. So I went 3 for 3 there. In the NFC, I got the Rams right. Crazy game with the Panthers winning by 3, 4, something like that. Um, Bryce Young was great. Jalen Coker was great. Just a really good all around game by the Panthers, and they definitely deserve to win. But then they go prevent defense, which um, just really confused me. But the Rams were able to win by 3. I think it was 34-31 now that I think about it. And the only game I got wrong right here in the wild card round was the Eagles 49ers. 49ers win by 4, 23-19. George Kittle gets hurt in the game. It doesn't matter. The Eagles offense just looked inept. Looked like he couldn't do anything, and the 49ers capitalized on that. You kind of saw the way that the game was going to go early in the game when the 49ers were just able to drive the ball down the field in 3 or 4 plays. But it was more of a defensive battle than an offensive battle. And that's not what I expected. I thought if it was a defensive battle, the Eagles would win. So I thought that played into my hands, but ultimately I was wrong. The Eagles' offense just again not great at all. They're headed to Cancun. Um, Go visit with the Cowboys, the Giants, and the Commanders. See the rest of their division. They got rid of Kevin Patula after that, so maybe good fortune on them for next season. And then I got the Bears Packers right. I thought this was going to be wrong when I saw 21-3. But it ended up being right. So, yeah, we go 5 for 6. Bears Packers probably the best game of the weekend. Bills Jags a close, or yeah, Rams Panthers and Bills Jags close second and third. Josh Allen just went Superman against the Jags and really willed that team to victory. Patriots is kind of a lull fest. Chargers only scored 3 points. That offensive line just wasn't able to do anything. Um, and even though the Patriots offense didn't look great, they were able to find a way to win the game. One touchdown is all it took. They had 3 field goals in that game, and then a touchdown to score 16. Won by 13. Texans beat the Steelers 30-6. I predicted 30-10 on my own channel, but Texans defense really carried them throughout that game. Had 2 touchdowns, equaled the same amount of points that the offense did, and then Kyrie Fairbairn had 2 field goals on top of that, I believe, or no, he had 1 field goal on top of that, excuse me, and then missed an extra point below the crossbar because he slipped. So yeah, that's the wild card. The only thing I got wrong was this. I had it like this, and I'm gonna move that over to the 49ers so we can move over to the divisional round and provide my predictions. So the way I had the divisional round, I had Bears Eagles, and then I had Seahawks Rams, but I got the AFC spot on, so there is that. We're going to start over with the first game of the weekend, which is, in fact, the Bills versus the Broncos. You got Josh Allen going against the Broncos defense with Nick Bonito, Pat Surtain, John Franklin Myers, Zach Allen. Just a really good defensive unit. But at the same time, you got Josh Allen. I don't know if he can count Josh Allen out. I don't think the altitude will really mess with the Bills that much. I don't think the weather is going to mess with the Bills that much. Just a really good team when they're in rhythm. Broncos do have the number 2 rush defense in the NFL. Bills really rely on the rush game with James Cook and then even utilizing Josh Allen's legs. Ty Johnson's a great receiver out the backfield as well, so maybe you get him involved in the pass catching downs. Ray Davis, great as a returner, had a fumble in the last game against the Jaguars, but they were ultimately able to win. Defense relied on the big plays last week. They intercepted Trevor Lawrence 2 times. And I think good news, I think Ed Oliver might be back for your matchup. I don't know if he's or active, for sure. It's 12:15. The game kicks off in about 3.5 hours or so. So I don't know if Ed Oliver is active, but he was practicing this week. I think he's probably officially questionable right now, and then whether or not he goes is yet to be determined. But if you do get him back, that's a big force on the interior that you've been missing. You've lacked stopping the run. You've lacked interior pressure throughout the entire course of the season because he hasn't played a game this entire season, I don't think. So it'd be a huge get to get Ed Oliver back. It's pretty much like a free agent signing in the middle of the playoffs that, really is a stud signing in Ed Oliver. And, I think if they're able to shut down this Broncos run offense and, fly to the ball, which they kind of were against the Jaguars are a great run offense with ETN, Bashal Tootin, and they kind of abandoned the run in that game. I think they got a little over their head, thinking, "Hey, Josh Allen might score points every drive, so we're gonna have to, be aggressive on offense, throw the ball to Trevor Lawrence a lot." Just wasn't the game that they needed to be playing. They needed to run the ball against that Bills defensive front, which they're having success. I think average like 7 yards a carry in the first half or something like that. But then Kim Little misses a kick, and then Trevor Lawrence throws two picks, and the Bills win. And I think that's something similar that's going to happen this week. I think the Bills are going to be able to force a turnover off Bo Nix. Tends to get a little over aggressive sometimes. I think the Bills with Ed Oliver, if he can just make him process and make him think instead of going first read and then scramble, I think that's going to bode well for the Bills. I think this Broncos defensive line is excellent. I don't think the Bills defensive line will get that much pressure on the Broncos tackles specifically. Um, Garrett Bowles has been great. And then for the Bills, Deion Dawkins and Spencer Brown have been great since that Texans game where they got 8 sacks. So it's really, if the Bills' offensive line can hold up, give Josh Allen some time in the pocket, give Josh Allen some time to escape and run with his legs, then I think they'll have success in this game. I'm going with the Bills in this one, and I think it's a pretty close game. I think, the Bills will be able to kick a game winning field goal or something similar to that in this one. Really excited. It's a good slate of games this weekend. Um, and I got Bills 34, Broncos 31. So if you want to put an under over, I got the game smashing the over. So there is that. Moving on to the NFC, our second Saturday game. We got the 49ers versus the Seahawks, a Week 18 rematch where the Seahawks won 13-3. But a lot has changed since then. There's no George Kittle for the 49ers. Sam Darnold's dealing with an oblique injury. So, how dynamic will he be as a thrower? Are they going to limit the play calling and, really rely on that run game? I don't know if Fred Warner's playing this week or not. He was in practice this week. I think he was officially listed as out, though. I could be wrong. But, if he is able to play, then that's a huge get back for the 49ers. I think that the 49ers just really outcoached the Eagles in that game in the wild card round. Shanahan had a great scheme. Just really outplayed that Eagles team with not more talent than them at all. Shanahan just really does well with getting the ball to McCaffrey. Demarcus Robinson had a great game. You're gonna have Jawan Jennings and Ricky Pearsall. So you still have your offensive weapons. You just don't have your tight end, which is going to be a big miss. But you still got your offensive line, which is a very solid unit. I think you can improve at tackle. Um, but you're going against one of the best defenses in the NFL. In my opinion, the second best defense. I go Texans, Seahawks, Broncos. I think the Seahawks are great. Leonard Williams, Demarcus Lawrence, all those guys, just incredible football players. And then you got Devin Witherspoon, either Josh Jobe or Tariq Woolen um, on the boundary. Just a really really good unit. Um, can't say enough good things about the Seahawks. They just fly to the ball. Um, that defensive line is really what carries them through games. Stops the run at a high rate, gets the quarterback at a high rate, turns the ball over at a high rate. But I think if there's one thing the 49ers can do is scheme McCaffrey to have a position where he catches a lot of wheel routes, short passes, makes 5 or 6 yard gains out of nothing. And Brock Purdy's undefeated in Seattle, so there is contention there for the 49ers to do something in this game. I think if they do, it's going to rely on a lot of the short game, just getting the ball out, making sure that Seattle defensive line can't really, you know, do too much and force the Seahawks or force the 49ers to step up in the pocket where they're able to sack, dump the ball off behind the line of scrimmage where they're able to just fly the ball and get and stop them for maybe a 1 yard gain or a loss. Um, but at the same time, the 49ers defense has been playing better than I expected. I think Jackson Smith and Jigba is definitely going to be able to exploit that defense a little bit because that defense does get wide open at sometimes. And, if this game becomes a shootout, then I do favor the 49ers because I just think, um, you know, if it's a shootout, that means both defenses are unable to stop each other. And I think Sam Darnold's not great at, coming back in a shootout. The time he did was against the Rams, and that was a little funky. But yeah, I think it's going to be a great game altogether. An NFC West team is going to be in the NFC Championship with 3 of the 4 teams being in the NFC West, which is drastically different than the AFC with 2 teams in the AFC East and then one in the West, one in the South. Um, you got 3 in the West, one in the North. Yeah, for the 49ers, it's just a case of how many yards can you get per play. I don't think it's going to be we find explosives, we find a way to exploit this defense twice, and then we win that game. I think it's going to be something along the lines of, hey, we need to get 5 per play, 4 per play, just really move the chains, control the clock, and try to dominate this game. Brock Purdy's never lost in Seattle. I'm going to bode with that trend. And I'm going 24-21 49ers. Moving on back to the AFC, you got my Houston Texans against the New England Patriots, the number one defense versus the number one offense in the league. One thing I noticed is Drake May has not played a top five defense throughout his entire career, and even when he's played top 10, he's thrown an interception in each and every game. So look for the Texans to pounce on turnovers, really try to affect his game. I think the defensive lines for each team are going to have a really significant advantage over the offensive lines. If I had to give advantage offensive line, I'm actually giving advantage Texans. I think Trent Brown's great off the edge, going to be able to stop Harold Landry. Same with Ursary. Just both huge units that are able to move quite well. I think the question for the Texans is if they're going to be able to stop Milton Williams, Christian Barmore, who the Patriots gave a lot of money to in Milton Williams. You're going to have to establish the run game. I think it's going to be a snow game there in Foxborough tomorrow. So, yeah, really look for Woody Marks to be turning his legs. CJ Stroud to take care of the ball. That's a recipe for success for the Texans. If they're able to take care of the ball, get around the 20-point range, then this team has a chance against pretty much anybody. Um, it's insane that 20 points is really your safe spot for the Texans, but that's how it's been. Score 2 touchdowns, kick 2 field goals, find a way to win this game. I think the Texans could certainly do that. Patriots have a dynamic offense. Keyshawn Booty, Stephon Diggs, Travion Henderson has been great at running the rock. Same with Ramondre Stevenson. I know he had those fumble issues on the earlier half of the year, but since I'd say the turn of the half of the season, maybe the last quarter of the season, hasn't fumbled the ball once, been great in the passing game, been great in the running game. Trevion Henderson has improved as a pass blocker tremendously, and he's still there for that explosive play threat. You watched that Buccaneers game where he broke 2 for over 50. Um, yeah, just really dynamic running backs over there in New England, but Texans stop the run at a good rate. I know Will Campbell and Jared Wilson are great run blockers, both on the left side of the offensive line. But at the same time, Daniel Hunter and Will Anderson do really enjoy stopping the run, not just rushing the passer. So, I know you say you lean on edge rushers, you try to, just bore them out with run, 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 run. But at the same time, the Texans do not settle for that. Aziz is going to be flying, Jalen Petrie is going to be flying. Just a really good defensive unit from the Texans all around. That doesn't take any credit away from the Patriots. I just think they were pretty lackluster last week against the Chargers. I think if the Chargers offense was able to capitalize on the interception that they got, then it's a completely different ball game. Um, if Joe Walton or Sean Slater are healthy, I think it's a completely different ball game. Texans offensive line is healthy. You have no Nico Collins. In this one, you do have Christian Gonzalez for the Patriots. But some of CJ Stroud's best games have come when Nico Collins is out. We played the 49ers early in the year, and CJ Stroud went for 300 yards and 2 touchdowns in that game with no Nico Collins and no Christian Kirk. And I think the resurgence of Christian Kirk in this playoffs, especially in the wild card round, was something that no one expected. You expect it to be Higgins, Hutchinson, Kirk, and then Nola as our fourth guy in there. So still some great playmakers there. Woody Marks can be involved in the passing game as well. Dalton Schultz, one of the best security blankets in the league. Very similar to Hunter Henry. I think Hunter Henry is a little more explosive though. But I think the Texans, if they just play like a average offense, get 20 points, then I think this game goes in their favor, especially with the conditions. Offense is going to be moving slow, same with the defense a little bit, but at the same time, you're catching when you're the defense and when you're the offense running towards them. Besides the pass rush, that's a little flipped. But yeah, I think it's going to be a great game. I'm never going to vote against my Texans. I can definitely see a way where the Patriots win. But I think the Texans offense will start clicking a little bit in terms of just not turning the ball over, not having silly mistakes. And if we did that against the Steelers, we would have easily put up 40. So I'm going with my Texans here. I think the Texans will be able to generate a turnover or two. Drake May fumbled the ball twice last week and threw an interception. I think the Texans will be able to replicate that, if not more. Weren't able to recover every fumble the Chargers were, but I think the Texans will be able to turn the ball um, over quite a bit in this game, maybe 2 or 3 times. That's my guess. And I think those extra possessions will give the Texans offense some field goals to kick, as well as maybe a touchdown in that game. So, yeah, I'm going with my Texans here. I'm going to go with the score of 27-17 in this one at 2 p.m. tomorrow, Central Standard Time on ESPN. To close out the weekend, you got the Los Angeles Rams versus the Chicago Bears. The Bears We talked about this against the Packers. 21-3 comeback and win, 31-27. Rams win by 3 against Carolina Panthers by a score of 34-31. It's going to be in the tens or the single digits in Chicago in terms of the weather. It's going to be feels like -2 or something like that. It's insane the weather. And Matthew Stafford has the same amount of sub 30-degree games that Caleb Williams has throughout his career. I don't know how that's true because he was literally in the NFC North for over 10 to 12 years or something like that. And I guess he just never played in the cold. I know Detroit is a dome, but you would have assumed Minnesota, actually a dome as well, but the times he played the Bears and the Packers late in the season away, maybe he had more of those games, but apparently not. But yeah, the Rams are going to take on the Bears. The Bears, the team that just seemed like a destiny team in my opinion. Um, just when they're down in games, it doesn't feel like they're out of them. It just feels like they're literally just down in those games. But something's going to happen where they come back. Been the comeback kings all season, but I think they meet their match. I think those crossers are going to be very important for the Bears. That's where you exploit this Rams defense. The Rams secondary is not great, so if you're able to stop that defensive line, which I think you have one of the better offensive lines in the league, excuse me, you will have a chance in this game. I think it's really important that you give the ball to your playmakers and DJ Moore and Luther Burden, and then if you find Rome Odunze over the middle, then you do find him. Colston Loveland's been excellent. Only tied in with 8 catches for 100 or more yards, or 8+ catches for 100 or more yards in the playoffs in NFL history last week. Caleb Williams just really looked to him as a security blanket and as a big play guy, to be honest. Colston Loveland's been great. In terms of the defense, you're able to turn the ball over at a very high rate in terms of getting interceptions, and I think that bodes well in your favor because Matthew Stafford is prone to that at times in some certain games. So there's potential there for the Rams to, really make some mistakes, give the Bears some extra opportunities to either come back in this game or, run away with this game pretty early on or halfway through. It's going to be an intriguing matchup, probably one of the best ones of the weekend. I think every single game here is very intriguing. I think, if there was going to be one blowout, I could see the Seahawks blowing out the 49ers. But everything else I think is going to be super tight within 10 to 3 points or so. And in this one, I don't know. I just think Puka Nakua will be too much for that Bears defense. I don't think the Bears defense is great at all. I think they're great at turning the ball over, but I don't think they're a great unit. Don't stop the run at a high rate, and you know the uh, the Rams don't run the ball that well. So, um, weakness on weakness there. We'll see who's able to capitalize on that. Um, and other than that, you really got Puka there. You got Devontae Adams. It's just a great offensive unit for the Rams, and I think McVay will be able to scheme up a win here. So I'm going away team in every single game. I just realized that. I got the 5-6 in the AFC Championship. I got the 5-6 in the NFC Championship. Oh, I don't know if I like that. I don't. I really don't. If there's one game that's a toss up, I'm going Seattle. I'll do that. So we got the 1 seed, 5 seed in the NFC Championship game, and then we got the 5 seed, 6 seed in the AFC Championship game. So Rams would go on to Seattle to play them in the NFC Championship. The Bills would be moving to Houston um, to play them in the NFC Championship. So yeah, that's what I got. I got both away teams winning in the AFC, and then I got one home team winning in the divisional round. I think the rationale for the Seahawks is that they'll be able to stop Christian McCaffrey with his legs. George Kittle's not there to be that blocking presence as a tight end. So, yeah, that's what I got. Different. I do think the 49ers do have a very solid chance. I wouldn't be surprised if they win. But I'll go with this because I do need a home team winning in the round. That would be absurd if all away teams win. I don't know if that's ever happened before. So, yeah, let me know what y'all think. Let me know if y'all agree with my predictions for the Seahawks 49ers. I'll go 24-21 Seahawks. I'll just flip the score around. But yeah, if you did enjoy this video, please be sure to like and subscribe. Have fun watching Super Divisional round, or Super Divisional weekend, I think is what it's called. One of the best weekends in football where you got 4 games, 2 games on Saturday, Sunday, and then you got the national championship on Monday. So yeah, enjoy the football this weekend. Enjoy the football on Monday. A lot of people don't have work. A lot of people don't have school. So take that time, watch some football, have some fun. And as always, go Texans. If you did enjoy this video, please be sure to like, subscribe. And as always, it's Texans Takeover, and I'm out. I'll see y'all tomorrow prior to the Patriots game, and then Monday after we win and advance to our first conference championship. So I'll see y'all then. And as always, it's Texans Takeover. Thank y'all so much for watching. And I'm out. Peace.